Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2-pack of Rat King and Vernon. I think this is one of the sets most people were pretty excited about because of Rat King. I'm not sure how many people care about Vernon. If you guys are big into Vernon, let me know. Is that character you guys are really looking forward to? I know I was really looking forward to Rat King. He's such a cool, unique character from a character design standpoint, whereas Vernon has never been interesting to me. I've always thought he was one of the weakest characters ever, but you guys can let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below. So this set is somewhat contentious. There's a lot of stuff going on that's really good, but there's a couple of things that turn me off on this a lot. So I'm going to see how you guys feel about that, but we're going to talk about all of it. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. We are going to do both figures in one video, so we're going to go ahead and try to do it all kind of at the same time. Rat King stands just shy of 6 3/4 inches, which puts him at about 17 centimeters. Vernon is, let's say, 16 centimeters and just over 6 1/4 inches, 6 3/8. You can see next to each other. Rat King's a little bit taller, a lot more muscular, and I have to say, you know, we have a couple of different companies right now, and across the years even more, that have been making DC and Marvel comic characters with superhero bodies, and they have almost all been pretty subpar sculpts. NECA's just cranking out cartoon Ninja Turtles left and right, and they didn't have to put too much effort into Rat King here, but boy did they, and does he have a great superhero type physique. The anatomy on this guy is pretty wonderful. Maybe his thighs could be a little bigger if you're going for like a real superhero look. Now obviously he's not, so it's not an exact template for a superhero, but just look at the proportioning, look at the musculature, look how much better this looks than almost any of the superhero bodies we see from these other companies. It's really impressive. It's one of the reasons I was really looking forward to this figure, but also it's a perfect recreation of Rat King. So from an aesthetic standpoint, there's a lot to like. All of these little stitches around him are sculpted and painted. Obviously we have the black lines everywhere for the cartoon look. We have the two-tone paint job pretty much everywhere except for the hands and the head, and it all looks really good. It's very clean. It's very, very clean. They even did the little stitching down here by the feet, or on the feet, I should say. It's chock full of detail. Now, or chock full, not chalked. Now, here's one issue I have. The crotch apparently got messed up in production, which that kind of thing happens, and they painted over the scratched or painted parts. Whatever happened there, they painted over it with some green paint, which is not uncommon for like cheap stuff. I haven't seen this sort of thing happen on a higher end collectible in a long time. And I know this isn't like a super expensive thing, but still, that's pretty weird that they painted his inner thighs with that green paint, and it just looks terrible. I would definitely have preferred them just leave it alone than to have that extra green paint. Or just, you know, make a different part, get rid of those as defective. That's kind of a bummer. And there's one other issue we'll have to talk about as we go forward, but I'll worry about that in the articulation. The last thing I want to say for Rat King is I know some people are saying he should have oranger hair. This makes him look kind of blonde, and he's supposed to be a ginger. Technically, this does occur. Like, he does look like this sometimes. He has also, and I think for the majority of the time, been way more gingery, more orange hair. But either way, this is still a really, really nice recreation of the character. I love it from an aesthetic standpoint. Personally and objectively, it's pretty darn good. Now, for this guy, there's not a whole lot to talk about. He's just a guy in an office clothes type situation. And they nailed it. The colors are so saturated. It's going to stand out on your shelf for sure. Looks really good. The black lines are all there. The white parts are very white. The blue is very blue. The pink is very pink. The suspenders are well done. The face is well sculpted and well painted. I can't really think of anything they really need to change on this guy from an aesthetic standpoint. It is basic, but it is really good. So both of these guys as a 2-pack from an aesthetic standpoint, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's a really, really good looking set, and NECA seems to just be getting better and better at the aesthetics. The articulation still seems to be the least important part of all these. We get a ton of accessories and a ton of aesthetic. We'll see. Maybe this set right here is going to have great articulation. But for now, let's talk about the accessories. We kind of have a lot. We'll go ahead and start with Vernon. Obviously, we have the human head and grippy hands that come on him in the package. Then we also get a pointing finger hand and 2 wide open hands. Then we get the... What is he? He looks like a wolf. But I guess you could say it's a... I don't remember. I think he's a wolf. I really don't remember. It's been a long time since I watched it. It doesn't matter. He's got that head, and then he's got the alternate hands, which is pretty cool. That's a great addition. as a set. We also get the camcorder, obviously, which is pretty cool. And then for Rat King, we have the 2 open hands that come on him in the package, 2 gripping hands and a pointing finger hand. We get 3 rats, which can be kind of connected to him using their tails. We get his chest harness, which can hold 3 cans. We get another canister, and then we get his flute bugle thing that can go into his belt thingy if you want to. That's a bunch of accessories for this 2-pack. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. That's pretty darn good. I can't really think of anything else other than maybe like an expression for Rat King other than the smirk, but it suits him, so still 9 out of 10. All right, as far as articulation goes, we're going to save Rat King for last. We're going to go ahead and check out Vernon first. So obviously we have a ball peg for the neck, which allows the whole thing to move around. And then on top of that, we have, it feels like another single ball peg. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a double, but either way, you can make him look around however you need to, really. Like, it's not going to be the most dynamic thing, but if you can't pose him in a human type pose, it's your fault. He's got the neck to do it. For the shoulders, you can raise them up just better than horizontal, so that's pretty good. You get your full rotation, no problems there. The shirt is soft, by the way, so it will move around a little bit as you're posing him. Don't worry about that. You have your bicep swiveled down here. It's a double jointed elbow with the reverse joints, which means he's gonna have a really extended elbow. Let's see how it looks. If you just use one of them, you get better than 90 and it looks good. Let's see if you can use the top and the bottom and how that's gonna work out. Usually with the baggier clothes like this, you can get away with it, and I think this works on him. I still don't like the big long elbow that NECA's been doing lately, but it's functional here, fairly well hidden. That's good. You can rotate the shirt sleeve a little bit if you want to. And then for the wrists, obviously you just have your swivel and your hinge. His arm rotates up here because it comes off, you know, for the wolf parts, so you can do that as well. And then technically the watch is a separate piece if you want to do that. For the torso, there is some articulation in there, but you wouldn't want to use it because it's just going to lift his shirt up and disconnect his suspenders. So just ignore that, use the rotation, and that's it. Now for the hips, we have our ball socket hips, which are fine, but he's got his diaper very low. And that's good for aesthetics, but it is going to limit posability. That's about as far out to the side as you can go. They're very loose also. Going forward, you instantly get flexing and stretching, and you don't want to do that on a dark color like this. It's going to either crack the paint or mess up the plastic. So he's very, very limited. That should be trimmed out way more. Sacrifice the aesthetic a little bit for more useful articulation. This is almost a static figure at this point down here. So you get a little bit of thigh swivel. Double jointed knee should work just fine. Let's check. Yeah, no issues with that knee. That's gonna be fine. That's good. And then for the ankle, you get decent range going back, a little bit of range going forward, and your standard ankle rocker. So he's pretty average, I would say. His arms are pretty good, his neck's good. That's about it. We'll rate him as a 2-pack. Let's go ahead and take a look at Rat King. His neck is clearly a fixed sculpt. The head moves around nicely on, it's a double ball peg. So does he look up? Well, he's hunched, a little bit hunched, so he can't look up too much, but he can look up a little bit. He does look down all the way. Leaning side to side is no problem. Full rotation. You should be able to get your head poses out of him other than looking straight up, so that's fine. Full rotation for the shoulders. It's a little stiff, but it should work. That's what she said. The shoulders do go up better than horizontal, so that's good. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow definitely works. Nice elbows there, no issue. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. You will see some paint crumbling. That's only because they paint the hard parts of the joints. It won't matter on him because they are made out of the right color plastic. For the torso, we have, it feels like a single ball peg, and you get decent range out of it. Like, you're not gonna need a ton for him probably, but he leans forward and back pretty well. Side to side is pretty good. You get your rotation. This is a soft piece, even though it does tab in right there, which, odd choice. Odd choice that they pegged it in right next to where it needs to flex, and it does pop it out, but luckily you can just put it back in place and it's okay. Don't know why they did that. They could have just made it connect at the bottom. That's super weird, but it's also weird because it looks like he's supposed to have a waist twist, and maybe the whole, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's connected down here, and then they also pegged it in up here, but it looks like he's supposed to have a waist twist, but it's not lined up straight. I don't know what's going on with his lower torso. It's freaking weird. It shouldn't, at least it should be lined up. You can see his abs are shifted over from his crotch. I don't get that. And we should have a waist twist. Or, yeah, that's just weird. I don't know. For the hips, it's the same as the other guy. Ball pegs, ball sockets. Going out to the side is okay, a little less than 45. Going forward, it just instantly flexes and cracks the paint. Like, as soon as you go to move it, it's no good. They need to cut away that diaper on these guys. Add to that the fact that they already screwed up his thighs. Look at that. It just instantly flexes and cracks the paint. Terrible, terrible, terrible. You can't do that. It's still an action figure. I know NECA's going for the aesthetic and they're great at that, but they need to sacrifice something because this limits the functionality completely for the hips and it screws up the aesthetic. You can't have that. That's just no good. You do get a little bit of thigh swivel in there if you still want that. So for the knees, you get plenty of range out of the double jointed knee. That works just fine, looks good. And for the ankles, they go all the way back and all the way forward, and they have a really nice ankle rocker. So definitely no issues there. So as a whole, it's definitely lacking in some spots, but it's pretty good in others. And again, NECA has focused on the aesthetic. So I don't know. For the 2-pack, I'm going to give it only a 7 out of 10 for the articulation. It's better than some of the other figures they've released, but that's because these are just kind of like your basic humans. But as a 2-pack overall, now time for the final rating. We still have a great aesthetic and a lot of accessories and at least functional enough articulation to get them in some poses and to put them on your shelf. So I'm going to give this 2-pack an overall rating of 8 out of 10. The aesthetic really wins this set over. And then again, plenty of accessories don't hurt either. I wish NECA would, for me personally, I wish they'd clean up the articulation at least a little bit, just so that they're a little bit more functional, and they're not going to lose that much in the aesthetic. But you guys can let me know how you feel about that. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.